The Labour Party held its 97th annual conference in Christchurch last weekend. One thing to come out of it was new leader David Cunliffe's plan to introduce an alternative New Zealand-owned insurance provider if his party was to get into power next year. Dunedin North MP Dr David Clark was there and he joins us tonight to give us his views. Good evening, David.
Good evening, Rebecca.
Tell us what happens at a Labour Party national conference.
Well, lots of things happen. We debate how best to implement our values, the idea of fairness and equity of access to justice, to education, to healthcare and so on. We work out how we best achieve those goals when we're in government, what kinds of policies would get us there. A lot of social interactions, chance to mix and mingle with MPs and have them on about this or that you've seen them say on 39 News, and the chance also just to put forward some good ideas, debate some ideas.
What's your sense of the party's health under the new leader?
It's really good. Obviously it's helped by having a bit of a boost in the polls through the time with the leadership debates that we had around the country. People saw that we had some strong players in there, Shane Jones and Grant Robertson and David Cunliffe, all put on good performances, and since then we've enjoyed that boost. Of course polls go up and down, but that helps. Party membership's doubled this year nearly, and that's phenomenal in the modern climate. So, I think all of those things are symptoms of a party that's got a new boost of energy, and we're all united and wanting to win next year. Kiwis are saying that we need a change, and we actually need to have a government that looks out for all New Zealanders, and so there's a real sense of united purpose, I guess.
Tell us about the idea of a New Zealand insurance company. How would that work?
Yeah, well, that was one of the big ideas launched at the conference, that Labour would, when in government, start a Kiwi insurance company, much the same as state insurance started after the Napier earthquake. Identifying that actually it's quite hard for a lot of Kiwis to get insurance these days. The market doesn't seem to be serving the interests of New Zealanders. Work a lot similar to Kiwi Bank, which has been a very successful model. The government puts a little bit of capital in, and you have an insurance company that looks out for everybody, and it operates alongside the other players in the market and keeps them honest.
Yet the government claims that such a provider would be quite exposed in the small New Zealand market. What do you say to that?
Well, it's the same as any other player in the New Zealand market. It's a small market, and the truth is it would be done in partnership with a reinsurer abroad. So these big international firms, they take bits of risk in New Zealand, bits of risk elsewhere. But of course then when you have a government-backed insurer in the market, it has a good position there, and it can also just make sure that the margins aren't too big. It can be there to act in the interests of New Zealanders. That makes it harder for others to charge really excessive margins in the market.
Now, on a different note, you've been raising concerns about research and development in your role as revenue spokesman.
Yes.
What are they? Well,
the government's been tinkering around the edges again in this area. We think that tax could be simplified for small businesses, and that will make a lot less compliance. 10 to 13% of turnover goes into tax compliance for the smallest businesses in New Zealand. We think that's too much. Research and development tax credits was something we pushed previously, a very simple mechanism. People understand it and it promotes innovation. We've got a bunch of ideas that I'd like to see happen, but we're going to take a hands-on approach to making sure the economy works for all New Zealanders when we get into government.
Dunedin North Labour MP Dr David Clark, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Rebecca.